After a long wait, the mismatched duo Chief Inspector Lee and Detective James Carter are on their way for another wild adventure. Rush Hour's secret weapon was Jackie Chan and Tucker's unexpectedly amazing chemistry, even though a film about mismatched partners wasn't exactly unknown territory in 1998. Chan was a well-known action star before Rush Hour, but he had never produced a film that was a hit with American audiences. His action star skills were utilized in Rush Hour, and Tucker's constant chatter generated a lot of laughs. Jackie Chan portrayed a dedicated Hong Kong inspector who teamed up with Chris Tucker's reckless LAPD detective in the action comedy Rush Hour, which debuted in theaters in 1998. The mismatched duo was tasked with taking down a dangerous crime lord and rescuing the Chinese consul's kidnapped daughter. 15 years after the final Rush Hour movie was released, Jackie Chan has spoken about the prospects for a fourth installment. Chan and Tucker collaborated on two sequels that were released in 2001 and 2007. To refresh our memories, and for those who haven't seen the Rush Hour movies, let's first go over what happened. James Carter is a traffic cop on the streets of Los Angeles 3 years after the events of Rush Hour 2 and is no longer a detective. Lee is now the bodyguard of his friend Ambassador Han, the former consul from the first film. Lee is still upset with Carter over an incident in New York City in which Carter accidentally but fatally shot Lee's ex-girlfriend, Secret Service agent Isabella Molina, in the neck. However, following a failed assassination attempt, the mismatched pair will find themselves in picturesque Paris, attempting to retrieve a priceless list of names despite the best efforts of the murderous crime syndicate's henchmen. Lee and Carter must once more battle their way past dangerous gangsters, but this time Lee's past is coming back to haunt him. Will the boys complete the task once and for all? You already know the answer if you saw the movie though. If you haven't already, I strongly advise you to watch it. As previously mentioned, Jackie Chan has confirmed that Rush Hour 4 is now actually happening. Two sequels followed in 2001 and 2007, with the third Rush Hour, which took Lee and Carter to Paris for hijinks, receiving a lukewarm response from critics and lower box office returns than previous installments. Despite this, the series is still cherished for the special chemistry between Chan and Tucker, and fans have been clamoring for a new installment for a very long time. Before we go any further, we wanted to let you know that it's time for you to smash that like button if you haven't done it already. There is no way to know with accuracy when the fourth film will be released, however, based on the success of the first three, it appears that it'll arrive in theaters in the latter part of the summer. Rush Hour was first released on September 18, 1998. The sequel and third installment followed on August 3, 2001 and August 10, 2007 respectively. So if Rush Hour 4 followed the same release window, a summer release is possible.
You got a deal. Let's get the hell out of here.
Get out the door!
Oh, hell no!
You should expect the fourth movie to begin filming no earlier than 2023 because it's unlikely that it'll start production this year. That would imply a summer 2024 release date at the very least. Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are expected to return in their roles as Detective James Carter and Detective Inspector Lee in the sequel to Rush Hour 3, which was first teased back in 2018. Regarding the remaining cast, Zima, who portrayed Ambassador Han in the first and third films, might return. Soo Young-han, Han's daughter, is also predicted to return, though we're not yet sure who'll play her yet, since she had been played by Julia Su in Rush Hour and Zhang Jingchu in Rush Hour 3. Before George, the Rush Hour series lacked a good sidekick, so it would be unfortunate if he didn't return for the next installment. George was amusing, naive, and extremely useful, making him an essential part of the next possible adventure. Because Rush Hour 3 frequently brought up the incident that led Isabella to dump Lee, her absence from the movie was less noticeable. From what we can gather, there had been a shootout and Carter had unintentionally shot Isabella while she was caught in the crossfire. Isabella had made a comeback in the Rush Hour 3 deleted ending, but it now seems that that wasn't relevant to the story. Isabella shouldn't necessarily return in Rush Hour 4 as part of the plot, but she did in the deleted scene, only this time she was a canon character. It would be nice to see Lee in a real relationship for a change. We all want Rush Hour 4 because the first movie didn't feel like it had everything resolved. The following chapter should wrap up the series and leave viewers satisfied, so they won't need to keep asking for more installments for a long time. We can only discuss speculative theories since there is no official information about the plot. Of course, we have enough material to wrap up until the fourth movie opens in theaters. What do you think then? What will be the story's main focus? The international operations of the events in the Rush Hour series have been its strongest point. The best scenes in Rush Hour 2 took place in Hong Kong, and the most of Rush Hour 3 was filmed in France. We want to see Carter in foreign locations more because of how he responds to these cultural differences. The comedy is just pure gold, given how completely inaccurate he is in classifying people from various nations. Additionally, if we got exotic locations as a backdrop, Rush Hour 4 would also be a visual treat.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Are you deaf?
No, you is blind.
You.
Yes?
Not you, him. What's your name?
Me.
Yes, you.
I am me.
How well coordinated they were as a fighting unit was a sign of how Carter and Lee's relationship had developed. This was seen as improv, as the first Rush Hour had them barely synchronized at all. Rush Hour 2 had flashes of it, and by the time Rush Hour 3 debuted, they almost perfected it. Carter and Lee should strike a balance in their fight in Rush Hour 4, with their well-timed fight serving as a tribute to Carter's growing skill in martial arts. Of course, to add humor to these scenes, there would also need to be a fair amount of comedy. That's why we've got Carter. The thing that makes Carter funny rather than the jokes he spews is his propensity to chatter incessantly like an animal in any circumstance. You can be sure that Carter won't be keeping his mouth shut no matter what the situation, whether it be battling bad guys or hanging on for what seems to be certain death, and this needs to be developed in Rush Hour 4. We all found the scene in which Carter mispronounced the dojo master's name during the game of Me, You, Him to be the funniest in the entire franchise. Rush Hour 4 must improve on this level of clever humor in order to match Rush Hour 3's timeless appeal. The possibility of having a similar tongue twister with people from cultures other than China exists if the setting does become international. We have no doubt that Carter will have an equally hilarious time debating a man from another nation. Perhaps another tall guy fight could be in the works. Without the friendship between Carter and Lee, what would Rush Hour be? Rush Hour stands out from other buddy cop movies because of how close they were to one another, and Rush Hour 4 should incorporate many of these scenes. In fact, the overall theme of the film shouldn't even be about catching bad guys. Instead, it should center on the brotherly bond between Carter and Lee. Rush Hour 3 gave us brief glimpses of this, but the fourth installment should make this the central plot. Perhaps it's time to show us how Lee feels about Carter now that we know he already views Lee as his brother. And because of this, you need to smash that subscribe button and notification bell so you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. Ideally, it would conclude with Lee and Carter officially ending their detective work and retiring somewhere together. Carter mentioned in Rush Hour 3 that he wanted to settle in Fiji and get him and Lee jobs as bartenders, and we'd be lying if we didn't think that sounds awesome as the franchise's true ending. See you in the next video.